And it's the Horror Guys once again, episode 193.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Brian.
We're going to talk about some horror movies.
As usual.
And a short.
How many?
4 horror movies and 1 short.
Yeah. This week, all the movies are brand new ones.
And kind of indie-ish.
Most of them.
Yeah, not entirely, but indie heavy. Yeah.
No big budgeters here.
The Visitor, I think, was probably the biggest budget one.
Yeah, I think probably so.
Yeah.
Dead Bride wasn't bad either, but it was international. Mm-hmm. Pretty sure.
Yeah, and then we got Ash and Bone and The Things We Cannot Change.
Yes.
And the short was kind of had an indie vibe.
Yeah,
to it, too.
it did. They all, well, most shorts usually do.
Down and Out in Vampire Hills.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, as usual, the show is brought to you by the Horror Guys Guide. Stop into horrorguys.com/books and pick up one of our many nonfiction horror reference review books. They got all kinds of good stuff in them. Or you could pick up Horror Bulletin Monthly, and that's at horrorguys.com/monthly, and that includes all our reviews from the month, including, if you wait until beginning of November, it'll have all the ones from October in it.
All right. Halloween month.
Yeah, it's a busy month.
It is a busy month for horror movies. Everybody's putting them out and doing the publicity and wanting the reviews. And
we have quite a backlog.
It's a bountiful month.
We have more movies this month than we have days in the month left.
Mm-hmm.
For our bonus newsletter this week over at horrorbulletin.com, it's a free sign-up. You get the extra couple of reviews every week in your mailbox. This week we have the movie Cat People from 1942.
Meow.
And 40 years later, we have Cat People from 1982.
Interesting changes that they made in the 40-year difference.
You know, it's been 40 years since that one, believe it or not. It's time for a new Cat People.
It's time to do it again. They should just do it every 40 years. That'd be cool. Keep the 40-year cycle going.
How many years was it between reboots of like Halloween?
2022 is almost over. They better hurry.
Yeah, Cat People.
Meow.
And we kind of liked both of them, but they both have their problems too.
Yeah. But overall, I like the 1982 one a lot better.
Than the 42 one?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was more graphic and
more
interesting, I think. Yeah.
All right. Well, what do we got this week? What movies are we reviewing this week?
I already said we got The Visitor.
Well, what's first?
Okay, what's first? Ash and Bone.
Ash and Bone.
Shall we just dive right into that?
It's from 2022. Directed by Harley Wallen. Written by Brett Miller. Stars Jamie Bernadette, Angelina Daniela Kema, Harley Wallen, and Katie Wallen. Hour and 37 minutes. Trailer in the show notes if you haven't heard of this one. So what's a spoiler? Spoiler-free.
The character actors in this one really make the movie. And it's a good story. Moves a little slow in places, but it does get the job done, and it has a nice climax to it. And all in all, it was an entertaining indie.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
The main characters are all good, but there's those supporting characters.
The bad guys are even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we both like this one. A woman runs through a field at night. She flags down a truck on the road, and the driver kills her. Credits roll.
It's going to be that kind of movie.
Yeah, it is.
Hills Have Eyes kind of Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of vibe to it already right off the bat. Yeah.
Lucas and Sarah Vanderbilt drive with their goth daughter Cassie along for the ride. They stop at a diner. Give me a waffle or something. Whatever won't give me E. coli. E. coli. How do you even say that?
E. coli.
Just don't eat it, yeah.
Yeah.
Cassie moans to the waitress. It's not the most comfortable family trip. Yeah, she's being difficult.
She's Debbie Downer.
Cassie misses breaking beer bottles with her friend Tina, and they arrive in Hadley Lake, Michigan, where Lucas is from. They're staying at his brother's house, but they soon find they have very little cell phone service in this little town. What's a teenager to do without her cell phone?
Not much. Mope and be gothy.
Yeah, she's good at that.
Yeah, she is.
Sarah is Cassie's new stepmother, and there's a lot of friction between the two. Lucas reminds Sarah that Cassie's doctor says it's a big change for her, so they have to go easy. That evening, Cassie steals their car. Lucas wants to call the sheriff, but Sarah talks him out of it. Cassie goes to the local bar where a somewhat ominous old bartender named Louie says she's too young to be there, but her ID says she's 21.
Mel Novak. Mel Novak is the bartender.
Kevin says these movies need more Mel.
They always do.
A guy introduces himself, and she pulls a knife on him. She meets Tucker and Anna, who immediately notice that Cassie's not from around here. Because this is like a little country town, and she's all goth-looking.
Yeah, she don't fit in.
Cassie talks about urban exploring and haunted cemeteries. Is there somewhere around here they could go explore? Anna mentions the old McKinley house. Bad things happened there, and a weird brother and sister lived there. And I immediately at this point came up with the theory that Anna and Tucker were the weird brother and sister.
Mm-hmm.
I was wrong.
But we were wrong.
There's a whole wall of missing persons in the bar, and some people think they all wound up in that house. Tucker thinks it might be safer if they all go. They slip open a window and go inside. There are lights inside, so why wouldn't they assume there was someone in there already? It's kind of hard to imagine.
Yeah, it's not like they're exploring an abandoned place.
Yeah, these people
are actively living there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the lights on and everything.
Yeah.
Well, they sneak down into the basement, and they really hate the smell down there. They find a camera that's full of torture and execution porn. They have been killing the missing people down here.
Uh-huh.
May and Cleet McKinley return home. Anna and Tucker go back out the window, but Cassie is stuck inside.
And May and Cleet are just something.
Yeah. Cassie finds a bedroom with a decomposing body in the bed. I don't know that they ever explain that part.
Oh, that was Grandma.
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah. You're right.
Uh-huh.
May McKinley shoots Tucker in the arm, but they all get into the car and speed away. May says she's marked them. The sun comes up, and Cassie wants to call the police, but Tucker says no, the whole town could be in on this. And I think that's a good place to stop.
Yeah. Because stuff happens.
A lot of stuff happens.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so there's the brother and the sister, and Shane Hagedorn is the sheriff, and Mel Novak is the bartender, and all these these small parts. Well, okay, sizable parts, but good cast is what I'm saying. Yeah, I was impressed.
Well, May and Cleet are definitely fun villains. There's definitely a bit of Chainsaw Massacre along with Wrong Turn, and like you said, The Hills Have Eyes mixed into their DNA.
Yep, hints of it. Yeah.
Harley Wallen, as Lucas, has no idea how to deal with his daughter, and his new wife, Sarah, seems really uncomfortable in her new role as a stepmother. They both sell it really well.
Mm-hmm.
Cassie, on the other hand, seems maybe a little too old to be playing a 16-year-old. But
was that her age in it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, she had the 21-year-old ID that was fake. Somebody
Yeah.
later on mentions that she's only 16.
Yeah, okay.
Mason Heidegger, who plays Tucker, really needs to be cast as Obi-Wan Kenobi, since he's nearly a clone of Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, a really strong resemblance.
I couldn't not see it.
Once you said that, I could not see it. Yeah.
The story itself is very well done. The cinematography and sound design are decent, but it all kinds of feels a little stretched out. Maybe cutting about 10 minutes somewhere would have pepped things up a little bit. And, of course, Kevin said it needed more Mel.
Mm-hmm. It did.
Harley Wallen's films always seem to have Mel Novak in them, and it's always a very small little role.
Yeah.
And he's just so weird.
He's so interesting to see.
He's an unusual guy. All right, well, everything was a little slow. It was a little slow. A lot of these indie films have some pacing issues, but everything came together in the end, and we definitely liked it.
Yeah, big thumbs up.
What's next?
Dead Bride from 2022 also.
Well, that sounds cheerful.
And this one is a international film directed by Francesco Piccone, also written by Francesco. Stars Jennifer Mischianti, Christopher Holson, and Douglas Dean. Runtime's an hour and 23 minutes, and there's a trailer in the show notes.
Spoiler free.
And it's subtitled. This was subtitled. Yeah.
Was it?
I believe so.
No, this one wasn't subtitled.
This one was dubbed?
No, this
We
was one where
watched
their
it dubbed.
mouths didn't quite move.
Oh,
right.
that's right. Yeah.
I'm not sure that it was dubbed. We'll get to that.
Or remixed, or what's the word?
Post-production.
Yes, post-production sound. Yes.
Well, it's all spoiler free. It's all very good as bad things happen. It's a ghost story that unfolds nicely, and it's entertaining all the way through.
Yeah, right from the beginning and consistently. Yeah.
I like this one.
Just a smooth roll all the way through.
Actually, I think I liked all of them this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, what happens?
A man wakes up during a storm and hears sounds upstairs. He goes to investigate, but it's dark and creepy in the attic. And then he finds that he's not alone. Bad thing happened.
Ah!
Credit rolls. Allison is moving into a new place. It's a big old house. Richard says it could only be temporary. If she's not happy here, they could put it on the market. That night she has a panic attack in bed, but he talks her through it. We get a flashback showing that she's had these dreams or night terrors ever since she was little. Well, in the morning, we see a news report about a psychic who helped the police find a dead girl. He goes to work while she unpacks. We see that there's a little ball of yarn in the baby's room, which triggers another flashback to when Allison found a similar ball when she was little. This is her childhood home, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't mention that. And that was her father in the attic. Richard brings home a plane ticket. The company is sending them for training overseas, and she's not pleased about it. Allison says her father just committed suicide, and it's too soon to leave her alone. She brings up that Richard had an affair 5 years ago, and she's a little whiny, but he's inconsiderate, so it's kind of hard to know whose side to take at this point.
They're arguing. It seems to be the movie is from her point of view, but at this point it's early enough. She could be wrong. We don't know.
Yeah. Well, we get a flashback to when Allison's mother locked her in a closet for an extended period of time. Father mentions that mother isn't well. He sends Allison away while the priest and a couple of men come to help her mother. That night, she has sleep paralysis again as some weird stuff goes on in the baby's room. She hears it on the monitor. She calls Richard, and he asks if she's taking her medication. She is not. So it's one of those, is she crazy and imagining this, or is it really happening situations?
Off her meds, yes.
Yeah. Well, we see that Richard's playing around with his coworker at the hotel. And as soon as he answered the phone, I was thinking, we're going to see her in the background. And sure enough, yeah. Well, Allison goes up to the attic, finds some videotapes from 1995. And we see the priest, who can't decide whether Allison's mother, Susan, has a psychological or supernatural problem. She stops watching the tapes when the Bible next to the TV bursts into flame.
That's never a good sign.
That's not right, yeah. Well, the next morning, Allison goes to see Father Albert, who's still around. He's the priest in the video. And at first he denies knowing anything about the past, but he gradually admits that he was involved. And he explains that by putting her up for adoption, her father thought that he was keeping her safe. And Susan was clearly possessed, so he did an exorcism. And that goes about as well as it did in The Exorcist. The demon says, the bride that was killed at the hands of this bloodline. Is that? Yes, I'm reading that right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the bride that was killed at the hands of this bloodline. And the demon is Mary, Allison's grandfather's first wife.
This has been going on for a while.
Runs in the family. She disappeared shortly after the wedding. And he explains it's not the house that is cursed, it's the family itself.
Ooh, that sounds like a good place to stop spoiling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Richard comes home, and hilarity ensues from there.
It all looks good, it's well acted, and the pacing and suspense are very well done. The sound seemed a little off, as if the whole thing were dubbed, which may have been the case. This was I don't remember if it was Italian or where it was from originally. Mm-hmm. They were speaking English. You could tell the words were right.
The lips were matching.
But things just weren't quite right.
Yeah, I remember that now.
Between the possession, the kidnapping, the ghosts, and maybe the devil himself, there's a lot going on in this story.
There is.
But it all does make sense, and it doesn't feel rushed. It was pretty good, a fairly straightforward ghost story without any goofy twists or surprises. Mm-hmm. No shocks here.
Smooth, yeah.
And then we watched a short film, Down and Out in Vampire Hills. Directed by Craig Railsback, written by Heather Joseph Witham, stars Donna Lee Heising, Ken May, LaJohn Stewart, and Bill Housekeeper. 22 minutes. So kind of a longer short.
A long short. Totally worth it.
What happens?
Harold, the vampire minion, gets a job as a dog walker. When a man spills his coffee on the dog, Queen Penelope, the vampire, kills him in the bloodiest way possible.
It's a mess.
And this is just the first of their misadventures in trying to pay their way into modern society. We flash back to 3 days earlier, listening to a podcast interview about a supernatural expert talking about zombies. Death always finds a way, the guest says. Well, Harold explains doggy coin and cryptocurrency to Penelope. Their get-rich schemes don't always work out. In fact, they got evicted from their mansion.
It's all Elon Musk's fault.
Yes, yeah. And they need to get a job. So a series of hilarious failures at jobs. It's hard being a 100-year-old vampire in modern life.
Yeah, it is. It's a well-written, well-shot short that looks really good. It's one of those comedy parodies that takes a common old horror idea and plays it all for laughs. It's really cringeworthy and kind of terrible, but that's the whole point. They're completely out of touch.
Perfect for that.
The cast is perfect, and it gets a big thumbs up from both of us.
Yeah, I think Donna Lee Heising.
Wow.
Just perfect for this role.
Wow.
And the way she's,
out of touch.
Out of touch, yeah. Still dressing like a queen or a princess, and everything she does. And, yeah, it's just, you need to check this one out.
And that takes us to The Visitor. Directed by Justin Lang, written by Simon Boyes and Adam Mason, stars Jessica McNamee, Finn Jones, Victoria Harris, hour and 29 minutes. Trailer in the show notes.
Finn Jones was Iron Fist, among other things.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Hey, we've got giveaways of this movie.
Hey.
Email us
Give
at
them away.
email@horrorguys.com. Say, hey, I'd like a copy of The Visitor.
And we'll give you a digital code where you can watch
will.
it for free online.
Yes.
Yeah.
Email@horrorguys.com. I'm always amazed at how few people take us up on our giveaways.
We really mean it. There's no strings
It's
attached.
not a trick. You're not signing up for anything.
Yeah, these nice people give us giveaways.
Yeah.
And we'd love to give them away.
Well, spoiler free, what happens?
This was an interesting one, riding along trying to figure out what's going on and why. And the longer it goes on, the stranger and more ominous things get. Because I remember...
We had theories all the way through.
Yeah, we had theories, and this is just people doing it. This is nothing supernatural. And then something happens that things happen that change your mind. And
it's not really twists.
No,
it's just further developments that say you were wrong all along.
What's going on? Yeah. Well, it's well acted and directed with things funneling down to a satisfying, if dismaying, finish.
Wow.
Yeah. And then a statement from the official people. I am quoting, "The Visitor is the latest horror thriller from Blumhouse Productions. When Robert and his wife, Maya, move to her childhood home, he discovers an old portrait of a man with his likeness, a man referred to only as the Visitor. And soon he finds himself descending down a frightening rabbit hole in an attempt to discover the true identity of his mysterious doppelganger, only to realize that every family has its own terrifying secrets. The Visitor is available to buy or rent on digital right now."
Yeah.
And
if you're too cheap to buy it or rent
could be for free.
Email us.
If you contact us, we got freebies.
All right, so Robert and his wife, Maya, have inherited her father's huge house, and they're moving in. Almost immediately, she goes to a secret compartment in the floor that contains a creepy doll. They go to the bar and talk to Judy the bartender. Everyone in town is happy to see that Maya has returned, and they buy them all drinks. Robert overdoes it and passes out.
Yeah, the bartender there, she starts them out with moonshine that she's got a special bottle under the counter. Let's do shots.
Robert's not used to this stuff.
And then let's do another shot, and pretty soon, he's just plastered.
He's shot.
Yeah.
Late that night, Robert hears crying coming from the attic. It's an ancient-looking blind woman. "You're home," she says before roaring at him. Nope, just a nightmare. The couple talks about losing their baby in a miscarriage. She thinks he blames her for the loss. Robert finds a painting in the attic that looks just like him. She doesn't think that it looks that much like him, but the painting is entitled "The Visitor Accepts," and she has no idea where her father got the old painting. And we see that Robert is on medication for his anxiety, and he's had trouble with it before.
So again, it's
what is with all these people on medication to make you doubt that they're crazy or not?
To make you wonder if it's really happening or in their head. Yeah.
Robert goes to the hardware store, and the clerk says, "We need to talk, Robert." When another customer comes in, she ends up writing him a note. Art is a lie that makes us realize the truth. And the note mentions Delacroix Art and Antiques. Robert and Maya then go to her father's memorial service, and the pastor gives a speech about his devastating absence. Everyone in town is way too friendly to Robert. He goes to the antique store the hardware lady indicated and finds a Civil War era painting there, again with his face. This one is titled, The Visitor Watches It Burn. The owner says the painting was there when she bought the store many years ago. See, he was kind of in doubt that painting in the father's house was old. This one clearly is.
Yes.
The woman says he really doesn't want answers. You don't want answers. What you need is to run back to London as fast as your legs can carry you.
Yeah, she more or less freaks out and drives him out of the store.
Yeah. When he comes home, Maya has hung the first painting in their living room as a joke. He thinks the stress is starting to get to him. Meanwhile, over at the antique shop, the proprietor gets an unexpected visitor, a swarm of locusts that kill her.
Yeah. See, I was thinking she had doomed tattooed on her forehead.
Yeah.
But I was expecting one of the other townspeople or somebody to kill her. That we're all in on it or something. What? Locust? What?
The next morning, Maya tells Robert that, hey, she's pregnant. Several months pass. The pastor has a talk with Robert about being a true believer, which Robert is not. You will be, the old man says. When you see for yourself, you won't be able to deny it. Sounds ominous.
Yeah, it does.
The preacher has his own painting. The visitor stakes his claim. The preacher says the painting was of Alistair Edgar, the man who saved their town way back in the day.
Who looks just like Robert.
Robert and Maya find a bunch of frogs in their living room when they get home. Wait a minute, locusts?
Plagues.
Frogs? Huh, this is going somewhere, isn't it?
It could be.
Well, you're going to have to watch and find out because we're going to stop there.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we very quickly got a vibe like Wakewood, where the whole town is in on a conspiracy. Mm-hmm. But that soon degenerated more into a Wicker Man feeling where it's even worse.
Yeah, where everybody's in on it, or a lot of people are,
Yeah, for most of the film, it was obvious that most of the town was in on some kind of secret conspiracy. The only one out of the loop was Robert. But everything eventually gets explained, and it all does make sense. Some of it's predictable, some of it isn't. It's not entirely clear what's going to happen after the end of the film, but it's not going to be good. Sometimes the dragon wins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thumbs up.
Yeah. They've all thumbs up this week.
They all are. Yeah, they're good this week.
Yeah.
The Things We Cannot Change, 2022. Written and directed by Joshua Nelson. Stars David Reyes Adams, Ziad Alexabi, and Jay Brown. It's my turn to mangle some names.
Jay Parson. You said Brown.
Brown?
Yeah.
It's not even close. Jay Barson.
Yeah.
1 hour, 34 minutes. Trailer in the show notes. Spoiler. Don't spoil it. What's our spoiler free?
Spoiler free? Is it better to fight your nature or embrace it? It can be hard being a vampire. And here we have a bunch of them talking about the struggle. It's entertaining overall with decent acting, good direction, and interesting dialogue.
Yeah. A group of people in what appears to be an AA meeting discuss their problems.
And at first, that's what you think it is. They're talking
Alcoholics
about,
Anonymous.
They're talking about addiction.
Well, that's where the title comes from,
yeah,
too.
exactly. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, the woman talks about keeping secrets from her husband. But when it calls to you, you just can't fight it. It takes over your soul. I was hiding who and what I was. Yep, these are alcoholics for sure.
Yeah.
She tells the story of when her husband brought over a friend for dinner. The friend flirted with her, and she just let the urge happen. She followed him upstairs and drank his blood.
Oh.
Matt, I can explain, she says. Nope, these people are not alcoholics. They're vampires. Credits roll. All right, so basically we've got an Alcoholics Anonymous for vampires here.
Mm-hmm. They're struggling to stay sober, sort of, if that's what you'd call it. Yeah. And I thought it was interesting how they did the meetings, because they had the main guy who was like the sponsor kind of guy, talking to them one or two at a time. But you could see all the others kind of shadowy in the background too.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting how they staged
they focused on just a couple people here and there.
Yeah.
Two young women talk. One yammers on about a cute guy that she met, while the other blathers about shopping. These are, your brainless 20-somethings.
Yeah, just an ordinary conversation.
Yeah. But then the girl with the hot guy admits that she killed her guy and ate him.
What?
Suddenly, it's not a mundane conversation anymore.
Yeah.
We made love, and I bled him all over the bed. And the second girl wants to make a pact to stop, but they're both still hungry. Back in the support group, a married couple talks about going to a bar and picking up a guy or girl to take home and feed. They adopted a little boy, and then just last week, he caught them eating someone. They don't want the child to grow up around this kind of environment.
But the hunger is strong.
A mother tells Zoe that she wants to help with what's bothering her daughter. I don't want you to make the same mistakes I made. We then see Zoe sneak out into the backyard and start licking a dismembered limb.
Ew.
It's probably not the same mistakes her mother made.
Yeah.
One of the women in the support group, Veronica, says it's all wrong for these people to feel guilt over their murders, and we're told that she has issues. Another woman says that people are going to die anyway, so maybe they're just part of God's plan. Veronica says it's fine to go with it, and the leader of the group tells her not to come back.
Yeah, she's got the attitude kind of like, well, we're lions. We deserve
Bad
to. We're top of the food
influence.
chain. Yeah. That's not where this guy is trying to go with this group.
Another couple of
Dr. Abraham, was that the
Yes,
character's name?
yes.
Yes, the main guy.
Another couple of vampires talk about loving Twilight and the vampire Lestat, and they actually sought out a real vampire to turn them. Now they regret it. Zoe's mom, we're going back around again, Zoe's mom finds a corpse in her closet and sends her to Dr. Abraham's group. Mom asks if there's some kind of medication, but he says no, she'll have to fight this on her own. Veronica, who is still around, talks to other vampires about stopping Abraham and his group. They deny who they really are. Lucy deals with some workplace harassment in her own way, and her co-workers have a ball with it.
Yeah, that's some scene. Yeah.
One young guy comes out to his mother, and it goes badly.
Yeah, that was interesting because it was very much like a...
The entire script was talking about a gay man.
Yeah,
but it was
exactly.
really vampires.
Yeah. It was, very interesting how they did that.
Veronica has a plan to kill Abraham and take over. Things are going to be very different going forward. And there we'll stop. Well, last year, we reviewed Menopause from the same writer-director, and it had a huge number of characters telling their stories until the end, where some of it comes together. And we kind of hated it. We did not like that.
You just liked it more than I did, but yeah, neither of us were really fond of it.
This film
This one, though.
is done in a very similar format, also with a huge number of mostly unnamed characters telling their problems. This film has many of the same actors as well, but we both found this one to be a lot more entertaining. It's funny how blood coming in with vampires is more entertaining than blood going out with Menopause. But there we are. It's mostly just people talking, with a lot of vampire philosophy thrown in alongside a few simple bloody gore shots here and there. There's not really anything you could call action here.
Not a lot.
No,
Some kills, but they're
There's
pretty,
no
they're
car
pretty
chases.
low-key.
There's no big fights. It's just,
Uh-huh.
The story is very good, is well shot, decently acted, and the music is really good, which these indie films often neglect. There's a lot of really good humor here as well, and we laughed out loud a couple of times. The film takes a different point of view right at the end that makes the whole thing end on a kind of a depressing and overwrought note, as the drug and vampire analogy was clear already, but overall, we thought it was really good.
Yeah, it was.
I think they could have done without that last 3 minutes.
And this is the sort of thing I like to see when indie when you see work from an indie film, where you are more entertained and more appreciative of their work as,
They're getting better as they go along.
They're getting better, I think. Yeah.
All right. Hey, that's our show for this week. Be sure to stop over at horrorbulletin.com and read up on Cat People from 1942 and 1982. One's an old black and white, very 1940s movie.
Yes.
And 1982 is color,
And
bloody,
a
sexy,
very 80s
and
movie.
gory. Yes. All right. Well, I'm Brian,
And I'm Kevin.
and we'll see you next week.
See ya.